Joe, Ben, good to see you both. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks
Hello,
so much
mate.
for having us. Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Ben, I just wanted to ask in regards to the Institute. I mean, the stuff in the horror, thriller, sci-fi genre, it's always been around, right? But I feel like there's just been a big kind of surge in popularity with that content. So what's it like for you working on the Institute at a time there is a big kind of interest and appetite for that content these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been a massive consumer of kind of that kind of genre content, whether it's films or TV, or I read a lot of fantasy and sci-fi. That's like mainly what I read for pleasure anyway. And I love how it has the power in it. We live in such a chaotic, troubling world, and I think what this sort of genre stories do is two things. One of which it allows you to escape to somewhere else, where maybe people, have more power in a different kind of a way than we feel like we do in real life. But also the problems are laid out in this much sort of more deliberate, keen way. The powers that be are literally experimenting and torturing children. We know this is bad. We want to struggle against this, and so you can kind of talk about Stephen King anyway. Certainly can talk about the world that we live in through these kind of exciting, thrilling kind of in this kind of thrilling allegorical way. And I think that's always what's appealed to me about kind of like sci-fi and fantasy, is that you can speak to other issues in these very kind of exciting stories.
Absolutely. And Joe, good to see you.
All right.
And I do find it interesting, right? Because Ben touched on it. This is a big kind of complex world, right? That Stephen King kind of created. So, in regards to like that script to screen journey, like getting these scripts for the Institute, and then it eventually kind of comes to life while you go in production, what's that like for you on this project specifically? Because a lot happens in between, right? Like go and film it. Like, what's that like kind of seeing
I
everything
mean,
come
yeah,
to
I mean,
life?
I had a different idea of how it was going to go. I had no idea. Like, I was excited to see where we were going to shoot and
Yeah.
stuff. But you have a whole different vision in your head of how a scene's going to play out and how it eventually does, because you've got people who work in those departments who are taking
Mhm.
control of the show.
When you watched it, did it feel different from reading the scripts did it, or was it kind of what you had hoped or expected it to be?
I mean, when I watched it, I forgot all about the scripts because the people are so good in it that you forget that that's
You get
written.
carried away.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you both try not to do this, but the root of the question is more like, oh wow, people are gonna love this scene. Are you ever conscious of the audience member watching the Institute while you're making it? Or is that something that happens a little bit after you wrap? Ben, do you ever think about the audience?
I think in the moment you're trying to kind of commit, like TV and film in particular, as opposed to a play or a novel. The perspective is very tight. You're working each day on one moment, on 4 or 5 scenes maybe, and you're trying to really like commit to those scenes and making them feel truthful and honest or exciting. But actually, if you're trying to make them exciting, you're trying to make them exciting for someone. You're not thinking about like individual responses to it, but certainly you're thinking about how do we keep the tension in this scene the best we can? How do we make this character as deep and interesting as he can be? How do you make this relationship appealing, or what do they have in common? So I think everything you're really asking yourself, hopefully, is feeds into like how the story's going to be taken. And occasionally you think about, oh, this scene is, interesting in another in another way. You can read it in another way. This is actually about, us kind of standing up against governments if they behave in ways that we don't approve of. But usually you're kind of just really keying into the moments, the little moments.
Absolutely. I can't wait for people to see the Institute on MGM Plus. Joe, Ben, good to see you both. Thank you so much for your time and congratulations on the series.
Cheers.
Thanks, pal.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.